The storm had come out of nowhere, fierce and unrelenting. The ship, once a sturdy vessel cutting through the waves, now succumbed to the wrath of the tempest. Desperation filled the air as the crew fought to keep the ship afloat, but the relentless sea had other plans. With an ominous crack, the ship split in two, and the survivors clung to bits of wreckage, tossed about like rag dolls in the storm's fury. John Wakefield, a middle-aged man with a deep-seated fear of snakes, clung to a piece of debris, his heart pounding in his chest. The churning sea seemed to mock his fear, threatening to swallow him whole. As the storm raged on, John lost consciousness, and when he awoke, he found himself washed ashore on a desolate island. Disoriented and battered, John staggered to his feet. The island seemed eerie, shrouded in mist and silence broken only by the distant rumble of thunder. As he explored, John's heart sank as he stumbled upon a chilling sight. The island was infested with snakes. They slithered through the underbrush, coiled in the shadows, and hissed ominously in the darkness. Panic set in as John realized the severity of his predicament. Every step he took, he encountered more snakes. His heart raced, and beads of sweat formed on his forehead. He felt like an intruder in a nightmarish serpent realm. His fear intensified with every rustle in the foliage, every flicker of movement in the corner of his eye. Days turned into nights, and John's desperation grew. He fashioned makeshift weapons to defend himself against the slithering horde, but the constant presence of the snakes haunted his every moment. Sleep became a distant memory, as the fear of waking up to a venomous bite plagued him. One night, as the moon cast an eerie glow over the island, John stumbled upon an ancient, dilapidated temple hidden in the heart of the jungle. With no other options, he cautiously entered, hoping to find refuge from the snakes that tormented him. The temple's interior was dimly lit by flickering torches, revealing strange carvings on the walls, serpentine figures intertwined with human forms. John's fear reached new heights, but he pressed on, his survival instincts pushing him forward. In the deepest chamber, he discovered an altar adorned with a grotesque statue of a serpent deity. A sudden realization struck him. The island was cursed, and the snakes were more than just animals. They were guardians of a malevolent force. With a sinking feeling, John understood that the only way to escape the island was to confront his deepest fear. Gathering what little courage he had left, he approached the altar. As he did, the serpentine figures on the walls seemed to come to life, slithering and writhing in an otherworldly dance. In a moment of sheer terror, the statue's eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and the snakes surrounding John retreated. A disembodied voice echoed through the chamber, revealing the island's dark secret, a curse placed upon those who dared to set foot on its shores. With a newfound determination, John faced the serpent deity and, in a desperate plea, overcame his fear. As the curse lifted, the snakes vanished into the shadows, leaving John alone in the eerie temple. The storm outside had subsided, and the island that once seemed so hostile now felt strangely tranquil. With a mix of relief and exhaustion, John stumbled back to the shore. As he looked out at the now calm sea, a passing ship spotted him and rescued him from the haunted island. The nightmares of snakes would linger, but John carried with him a newfound strength, the courage to face his fears, even in the darkest corners of his mind. Back in the safety of civilization, John struggled to readjust to normal life. The horrors of the island had left scars on his psyche, and the mere thought of snakes sent shivers down his spine. Nightmares haunted his sleep, visions of serpentine shapes slithering in the darkness. Determined to overcome his lingering fear, John sought the help of a therapist specializing in phobias. Together, they delved into the depths of his traumatic experience on the island. Through a series of therapeutic exercises and guided visualizations, John slowly began to reclaim control over his fear. However, the island's malevolent presence seemed to linger in his subconscious. One day, as he strolled through a park, he spotted a harmless garden snake basking in the sunlight. His heart raced, and beads of sweat formed on his forehead, but this time, he stood his ground. Drawing upon the strength he had found on the cursed island, John took a deep breath and approached the snake. With each step, he felt a surge of empowerment. As he reached down to touch its scales, a strange connection formed between man and serpent, a connection that transcended fear. News of John's journey spread, and he became an unlikely symbol of resilience. Invited to share his story, he became a motivational speaker, inspiring others to confront their deepest fears. His tale of survival resonated with those facing their own personal tempests, showing them that even the darkest nightmares could be conquered. In an ironic twist of fate, John's newfound courage led him to work with conservation organizations, advocating for the protection of snakes and their habitats. He became a voice for creatures that were often misunderstood and feared. As the years passed, John continued to overcome the shadows of the haunted island. The nightmares gradually faded, replaced by a sense of purpose and an unwavering determination to turn his harrowing experience into a force for good. Yet, in quiet moments, when the moon cast its glow on the landscape, John couldn't help but wonder if the island's curse had truly been lifted or if some part of its darkness still lingered within him, waiting for the right moment to resurface. The haunting hiss of a distant snake seemed to echo in the recesses of his mind, a reminder that the line between courage and fear was sometimes as elusive as the shadows in the jungle. Years passed, and John's life continued to evolve. He married, started a family, and built a home filled with warmth and love. His days were busy, and the once overpowering fear of snakes became a distant memory. Yet, on occasion, a subtle unease would crawl up his spine, triggered by an unexpected hiss or a serpent-like pattern in the underbrush. One day, an invitation arrived in the mail. The source was mysterious, but the message was clear. A scientific expedition was being organized to study the island where John had faced his greatest fears. Intrigued and haunted by the memories, John felt a strange pull to return. As he set foot on the island once more, he found it transformed. The once malevolent energy seemed to have dissipated, replaced by an eerie calmness. The snakes, once a constant threat, coexisted peacefully with the island's other inhabitants. It was as if the very essence of the place had shifted in the years since John's departure. The expedition, led by curious scientists and researchers, aimed to understand the peculiar dynamics of the island. As John shared his story with them, the expedition members listened intently. They conducted studies, took samples, and probed the mysteries of the land that had once been a crucible of fear for John. During their exploration, the team discovered ancient ruins, revealing the island's forgotten history. It was a place where an ancient civilization had worshipped a serpent deity, seeking protection and prosperity. The curse, it seemed, was a byproduct of their misguided rituals, a dark force that had lingered for centuries. In the heart of the ruins, the expedition members found a mural depicting a man facing a multitude of serpents, much like John on that fateful night. The serpent deity, once vengeful, now appeared serene, its eyes no longer filled with malice. As the expedition progressed, a sense of closure enveloped John. The island, once a nightmare realm, had transformed into a testament of his resilience. He felt a strange connection to the place, as if he had played a part in its redemption. The expedition concluded, and John returned home with a newfound peace. The nightmares that had haunted him for years gradually faded, replaced by a sense of accomplishment and a deep understanding of the delicate balance between fear and courage. Though he never fully shook the feeling that the island's darkness still lingered within him, John had learned to coexist with it. It became a part of his story, a chapter that defined but did not dictate the course of his life. The haunting hiss that echoed in the recesses of his mind was now a reminder not of fear, but of the strength that could be found in confronting the darkest corners of one's soul.
Like, subscribe, and click on notifications that allow you to stay up to date with the news and not miss the video from the channel, where there will be many more horror stories.